Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I always come back. I am Betty J. Gathers, daughter of Jean Grey. And those of you that have subscribed, I thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. And the ones of you that have not, why? I'm a great creator. I have noticed in the last couple of days that someone and somebody's are looking at my videos 24 hours a day. So, okay, come on and join the family. How I want to start this is, in all of our lives, we have a defining moment where something changes the course of our lives, be it right or be it wrong. It's always good to have change. Start something new. Change is good. Even if it's bad, there is always a lesson in it. Today I'm doing something new. Story time. It's going to be about my young, wild life until I got to about mid-30s. You're going to hear about divorce. You're going to hear about spousal abuse. You're going to hear about pregnancy, single pregnancy, booty calls. You're going to hear it all. Poverty. You're going to hear it all. So you just stick with me. It's going to be on a roller coaster ride. But you're going to enjoy it. You're going to even see yourself in it sometimes. I promise you. And I will see you in a little bit. And you know what I'm going to say. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. And here we go.
About the day that we met, I love to see you smile.
Let's get this story started. We all have defining moments in our lives. And in my early 20s, I had to be about 20, and I wanted to get married. And got engaged and everything. And my mom said, these are words in my ears. And I know a lot of other women have heard the same thing, or men. Betty, this was her exact words, do not marry that crazy man. Do not marry that crazy man. I wanted to get out of my mama's house, and them 20-year-old minds don't be working. I'm telling you, I already knew. I'm telling y'all, I already knew my mom was right. So what did I do? Miss Betty, I ended up going in that wrong direction. And that started the whole path of my life with poverty and pregnancy and everything else that you can think of, that rocky ride. I had a big wedding. Okay, let me back up. The night before the wedding, after all the dresses, the bridesmaids, everybody was in town, my mom called me one more time. She said, Betty, we can pack up the wedding dress. We can pack up. She said, you won't hurt mama feelings one bit. What do Betty do? Betty get married. Betty get married. And I can even remember getting in an argument with my fiance that night. And knowing, and looked like he was going to hit too. And that's what I remember, because we're talking about umpteen years ago. Because my son's 44, so we're talking about umpteen years ago. So went on, got married. I had the big wedding, over 400 people. Big wedding. Like we got money. Once the wedding was over, I knew within 3 months it wasn't going to work. I knew it. There was a lot of bickering. There was a lot of, it didn't get physical till later, but a lot of arguing back and forth. And finally, I got pregnant. Should have known bad marriage is always birth. How come when people got money, they can't get pregnant? But poor women, we can get pregnant all the time. But anyway, got pregnant. We still arguing, bickering. I'm about 7 or 8 months pregnant. He slaps me. My mama, now that's one thing I listen to. Don't let nobody hit you. When he hit me, I tore up everything in that house, from the dishes. And I can remember even going on his dresser, knocking everything. That house was on wreck. And then I proceeded to get into him and tear his clothes off of him. Now, you would have thought I would have called my mom. He called my mom and took me to my mom. But one thing about me was, I don't know where it came from. I knew if I left, I didn't want to go back. So I went back because I just didn't feel I was tired enough of it. So once I got tired of it, then I did leave with my son, 18 months. We argued so much till my poor baby was having the shakes. He was so relieved when we moved back to my mom. And then after we moved back, he came back again, and I told him I had already filed for divorce. I stayed with my mom for about a year. I went back to college, but I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to go back to the city because we kind of stayed in the country. So here I go again, Miss Betty, off on that adventure. I went back. I didn't have a place to stay, so of course I got a baby in tow. I didn't leave my baby back. And I stayed with Maggie. She used to keep my son, and she was the one that helped me get away from my husband, ex-husband then. And I stayed with her for a while. I ended up getting a job at the bank. And then I moved out from Maggie, and then I moved with another person, rented a room out from her. And my life even went on a deeper spill. Then I met Will. Won't call his last name, but Will. Booty call. Booty call. Okay, we dated, or if you want to call it dated, because I don't remember us going out to no restaurants or nothing. Then I missed my period. Girls, y'all know how that is when you miss your period. Girl, you be going to the bathroom looking. Let me do that one again. Looking. Like something gonna come out. I got pregnant with my second child, unmarried, okay? But when I look back on that, that really brought me out of the brinks of hell, because that's where I was just going farther in. Oh, I got some more adventures. That didn't stop Betty. Well, it was Betty. It didn't stop Betty. Let's just put it that way. So I end up having, which to this day I love my son. From the time he kicked, from the time he moved. But I didn't learn from that. You think I learned from that? I go back to a man that don't even really care about me. And then guess what? Again. My sister, my mama ain't telling nobody about this. I thought I was pregnant the third time. No period. Oh my goodness. Already pulling out with one child. Yeah, I'm like thinking, well, 2 children. And if you ask me why I put myself in that predicament, I had to be 28. I couldn't answer this to this day. So when a 20-year-old say they don't know, they don't know. They don't. But anyway, I kept going to the bathroom. I'm like, oh, goodness gracious, I'm pregnant. So what happened was I went to the bathroom, and it's like it came on. I said, yay! And then it went off. I'm like, oh, my goodness. So I said, it only stayed on for about an hour. I said, oh God, I'm pregnant, because that's exactly what happened with my second child. But then I said, this was some weeks now. I said, you know what? If I am, I am. And guess what? Period came on. I guess God said, you know what? I'm going to help this child out, because she just keep making these dumb mistakes. Then, after that, one more major mishap. And that was, I met this cute guy. He was so cute. So he came over to my house one night. Oh, we just kissing. Oh, we just hugging and touching. You know, everything just getting all heated up. And then, you know what? I must have learned all my lessons that needed to be learned at that time. I said, I cannot do this. And for some reason, he said, I understand. I woke up that next morning. I was so proud of Betty. I really was, that I made a correct decision at that time. I won't forget that. That was a defining moment in my life. Have to think about that one for a minute. And the whys and the hows. I always say my mom had to save up a lot of prayers for Betty Gathers. She had to save up a lot. It wasn't Gathers then. But she had to save up a lot. Because I look back and I'm like, why? However, now I don't know where this came from. I'm telling you, from God Almighty, I'm going to call on that name. But I made a conscious decision. I was not going to have sex. I wasn't going to date another man. I was going to put all my energies into my children. I stayed in a subsidized apartment, which wasn't bad. It really wasn't, but I know that wasn't the route I wanted to raise my children in. So, with that conscious decision, it lasted a lot of years. It ended up being 8 years. But I still have a little bit more of the rocky ride that I'm going to tell you about. And I will be back. Give me some water. Okay, we got up to the point where I made the decision of not to have a relationship or to have sex. Just put all my energy into my children. And one thing I want to say with this is, as a single woman or even a married woman, you've got to put a stop to something if it's not good for you. So say if you have one child and you're single, then you go and have 2, 3, and 4. You gotta stop. Somewhere are you making the wrong decisions on relationships? You gotta stop somewhere, and you gotta stay out that relationship long enough, because if it's too close together, you're gonna choose the same type of person. Okay, but that's enough about that. But this was just an abbreviated part of my life before I go into the next part. But I have not told you about all the nights of crying, not having any money, not having the money enough to get the gas in car. Thank God my kids never went without. Lights never went off, water never went off. So they were fortunate in that. And also, once I made that conscious decision, things did get a little better. Okay, we were still staying in a subsidized apartment. However, and I'm being truthful in all of this, is I started getting child support from my second son's father. And what I decided to do, and even with my mom, she said, listen, you've been living poor all these years. She said, take that money and save it and get a home. Now, some of you would say, and that's why I know the other part of this is, that was for the child. Yes, it was. For a roof over his head is what that was for. But we're going to continue on. I did get a home. I think it was it was 1,100 square feet. It wasn't in the neighborhood that I wanted, but it was a house that I could really afford and not be all the way house poor. Just because the bank say you can have a bigger loan don't mean you can afford it. So at least I was smart on that end. So once we moved in the house, I had to clean it up a lot because I was still this single woman, single mom, and being a single mom is hard. I'm not going to take away from anybody. A two-parent household, if it's a happy household, I said that's the best way for the kids to come up. I don't know what this top is doing now. You're supposed to be like down, but it done went up. We moved in the house, got that kind of set up. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the cars. I had nothing but raggedy cars. But I'm grateful now that I had them. My first car after I got divorced was a Buick Skylark. It was yellow. And when I moved back to the city, the motor went on that. The second car I got, I was big and pregnant with my second child. My sister gave me that because I didn't have a car. And it was a Toyota Corolla, little bitty thing in 68. I think that was the year. And it wouldn't back up. Can you imagine big and pregnant and it wouldn't back up? But I got that because I'm bouncing around too much. But anyway, I was talking about the cars because I'll take it in too many different directions. But the Toyota wouldn't back up. I kept that. And then I got a Buick Skylark, whatever the next car was. It was a brown car. I bought it from another single mom. And when it rained, the rain would come in. You have a big old lake in the back. Thank God it didn't leak in the front. But after I got my home, money was still tight. Don't think money got, but at least I got a home for the boys. They had stability. And I finally got a brand new car. I never forget, after my car tore up, I remember at a service station, I just looked up in the sky and I said, God, please, I need your help. And I ended up getting a new car. I was working at the bank. Well, I had been working at the bank ever since I came back in the city. And I ended up getting a car, got a really good deal. And every car after that, I can't say, was brand new. I was still single because I didn't get remarried until my son was 18. However, I'm going to talk about the relationship later. We're not even going to bring that in there right now. Things started getting better. They did. Things started going forward. Then they would go back. They would go forward. Then they would go back. Then it started accelerating. Where it got better. Maybe the money didn't get that great, but my life got a lot better. And this was before my husband now even came into my life. Of course, it got a little bit better as we started dating. However, let me get back to my job that I had at the bank. And I stayed there for 15 years, and I talk about that all the time because that is something I'm really proud of myself. I hated that job the last 5 years. I really did, or even longer. And like I said, I had a mortgage. I had 2 sons. I had no savings. And I ended up leaving the job. And the best thing that I ever did. The first thing I did, I kept kids for, I don't know, 5, 6 years, might have been longer. I had a CDA home. That's where I could be a kindergarten teacher if I was in a center. So I was proud of that. It was called a Gold Seal Home. Oh, I didn't know I was going to be standing up this long. I was going to sit down and chat with you, but I think I did better. And then after that, I became a doula. And that's how I ended my career. But that's what I want to stop right there. But I just want to say, if you are single or if you're in a bad relationship, sit yourself in a corner. I'm not telling anybody to leave. And get you a quiet moment. And I can remember doing that before I left my ex-husband. And think very well of what you want to do and where you want this life to take you. You don't want all those twists and turns that I had to get to where I am now. But I just wanted to share that story. That was my story time. And this is the end of my story time. And it is like a life from rags to riches. You don't have to have all the money in the world to feel like you're rich. And I, today, am the richest woman in the world. And you know what? I have a live every Tuesday. And if you want to come on my show and talk about your single life, I would love for you to share it with us. But again, I am Betty J. Gathers, daughter of Jean Grey. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. And you know what I'm going to say? Here we go.
I ran away from heartbreak. Got nothing in return for my pain. I never thought I'd be so empty, so alone and afraid.